In this video, I'll talk about a massive gift that Robinhood CEO gave Dogecoin today. I think this has to be his biggest move in favor of Dogecoin yet. Before we move forward, let's talk about some great news that came from the US government today. So, Republican Cynthia Lummis and Democrat Kirsten Gillibrand submitted a landmark crypto bill this past Tuesday. The bipartisan measure, dubbed the Responsible Financial Innovations Act, seeks to resolve the most pressing regulatory issues surrounding digital assets. The Responsible Financial Innovation Act proposes to categorize and regulate digital assets like securities and commodities. This would provide digital asset businesses with the opportunity to define what their regulatory duties will be, while also providing regulators with the clarity they require to enforce existing securities and commodities trading regulations. The Commodity Futures Trading Commission, for example, would regulate Bitcoin and Ether, which fall under the commodity category. The plan would reduce the tax burden on cryptocurrency holders and miners. Small purchases of up to $200 would no longer have to be disclosed to the IRS, making it easier to deal in cryptocurrency. It also declassifies miners as brokers attempting to avoid taxation on their assets until they are redeemed for cash. Lummis and Gillibrand are anti-crypto and want to ban algorithmic stablecoins that aren't backed by TradFi assets like gold or fiat currency. Lummis-Gillibrand mandates a 100% reserve, asset type, and full disclosure for all payment stablecoin issuers. This ensures that a payment stablecoin holder may always redeem the stablecoin for the equal dollar amount, preserving its value and protecting customers from many of the potential hazards connected with stablecoins. Now coming back to the biggest news from today. So Vladimir Tenev, the CEO and co-founder of Robinhood, just announced that he has a best buddy in the world, and that is Dogecoin. In honor of National Best Friends Day in the United States, Tenev took to Twitter to share a happy photo of himself with the Dogecoin mascot close to his shoulder, adding, "Things are never quite as frightening when you've got a best buddy." Meanwhile, the tweet has sparked interest among crypto fans all around the world, adding to the popularity of Dogecoin. We have to remember that Tenev has always been supportive of the Doge and has advocated measures to help in its wider adoption. In April, Tenev provided recommendations to help Dogecoin become the internet's currency, eliciting replies from other Doge supporters such as Elon Musk and Billy Marcus. Another thing to note here is that this could imply that Robinhood is cooking up something major for Dogecoin, and we have to keep an eye out for it. Moving on, let's talk about Bitcoin for a minute, since its correlation is really high with Dogecoin right now. So Tom Lee, co-founder of independent research company Fundstrat, stated that he was dubious whether Bitcoin will conclude the year higher than it began. Lee feels that the underlying strength is worth noting right now. He said, "It's a risk-on asset, so I think to the extent that Nasdaq and Bitcoin rally, it's helping us become more comfortable that the market's already bottomed. I believe Bitcoin will end the year flat or slightly higher." But then Michael Saylor came in and said, "If the deniers are wrong and the skeptics are wrong, and it's fairly clear they're both wrong at this point, Bitcoin it's not going to zero, and if it's not going to zero, it's going to 1,000,000. We're doing the equivalent of dollar cost averaging for a huge firm. We're not trying to time the market. All of the statistics on the S&P and the Bitcoin index indicate you can't time the market. We just reinvest free cash flows in the market as conditions permit." Moving on, CNBC anchor Jim Cramer discussed his current views on cryptos, arguing that individuals should be able to engage in the emerging asset class as long as they do not believe it to be a secure investment. He said, "It's not Coca-Cola or Apple." Cramer believes that crypto should only be a modest component of one's portfolio. He personally does not suggest investing more than 5% in cryptocurrencies. Cramer also slammed the concept of borrowing money to invest in the crypto market. And then Benjamin Cowan reminded everyone that the 200-day simple moving average is an effective prediction of future Bitcoin values, providing 2018 chart data as an example. He said, "Everyone has a strategy until the 200-day moving average rejects it. Following the rejection of the 200-day moving average, we failed to make a higher low. What happened after that? A lower bottom, similar to what happened over here in 2018. Historically, after making your first lower bottom, there is a relief rebound back to the 200-day moving average or back to the uptrend line that we were previously holding as support. He then highlighted two possible price marks on the SMA. Those were 41.7K and 40K, which he feels are critical levels for Vitasin to maintain. He added, "Today, the 200-day SMA is about 41,700, but it is falling quite swiftly. If we dubiously extend this out, by the middle of June, the 200-day moving average might be close to 40K. If we have a relief bounce back up, you'll want to keep an eye on that 200-day moving average because it's a line in the sand that we need to cross. Keep in mind that in 2018, we saw ongoing rejection by the 200-day SMA maybe twice, but you could say a third time. Maybe not really, but we almost got there. And then we eventually got over it on the fourth actual effort. Perhaps there will be a second one in the following weeks. If that's the case, brace yourself for the 200-day. I mentioned this back in March. We're in a bear market. Don't expect us to just break through the bull market support band and maintain it there just because we did it before. The 200-day moving average, which served as resistance a few months ago, may serve as barrier again. We aren't saying it has to. Moving on, some great news came out for crypto holders today. According to a new poll, 3/4 of U.S. merchants want to accept cryptocurrency or stablecoin payments over the next 2 years. It also revealed that more than half of major retailers with $500 million or more in revenue are presently investing $1 million or more on the infrastructure needed to make it happen. The information was revealed in Deloitte's Merchants Getting Ready for Crypto study, which was released on June 8 in collaboration with PayPal. Over 85% of the retailers questioned expect that Bitcoin payments would be prevalent in their business in 5 years. According to Deloitte, spending will not stop there. It will only increase between now and 2022. In the year preceding up to December, more than 60% of retailers said they plan to invest more than $500K to accommodate crypto payments. Consumer interest is driving merchant adoption, with 64% of firms indicating that their customers are extremely interested in using cryptocurrencies to make payments. Almost 83% of retailers expect interest to rise or rise significantly during the next 5 years. Almost half of those polled believe that adopting Bitcoin will improve their customer experience, while a similar amount believe that it will boost their client base. 40% said their brand would be perceived as cutting edge. Moving on, let's talk about something that can bring back Doge to 15 cents again. We remember how Bitcoin went to its all-time highs after the SEC approved the ETF, and that might just happen again this year. So according to the Grayscale CEOs, there has been a genuine development in the thinking that we've seen from the SEC. He said, "Historically, no ETFs based on Bitcoin were permitted to enter the market, and a few months ago, they let the first Bitcoin futures product to enter the market. Previously, the SEC expressed worries about the underlying Bitcoin market. Was there a forgery? Was there any deception? Was it sufficiently monitored?" Sonnenschein believes that the SEC perception of Bitcoin has shifted, citing the fact that the SEC has now allowed Bitcoin spot ETFs under the 33 Act. As a result, the CEO feels that the next obvious step for the SEC would be to authorize a spot Bitcoin ETF. According to him, sanctioning the conversion of the product into a Bitcoin ETF would put it closer inside the SEC regulatory perimeter, therefore it would be a win-win situation. However, by stating this, he is also prepared for a less peaceful result, commenting that if the SEC does not accept the ETF, there might be possible grounds for an Administrative Procedure Act, warning the company that it could take legal action against the SEC. He also said that the SEC favors futures goods over spot items, which might be proven illegal. If the SEC cannot view two similar concerns, the futures ETF and the spot ETF, through the same lens, he added, then it is possibly grounds for an Administrative Procedure Act violation. And then Jennifer Rosenthal, Grayscale's VP of Corporate Communications, noted that the business has been planning for all scenarios. She said, "We have assured that GBTC is operationally ready to convert to an ETF and have been examining options in the event that the SEC does not permit GBTC to convert to an ETF," Rosenthal explained. "It's critical that Grayscale has the best legal brains working on our proposal to convert GBTC to an ETF." Now coming back to Dogecoin, it is currently trading at around 8 cents and is back in the red again. I think this is because Dogecoin's 24-hour trading volume has dropped even more today. What's really interesting is how the social trends metric got a little higher today. I think this was because of how Vlad Tenev came out to show his support for Doge. I think that gesture is going to go a long way for Doge.